Hey, I'm Walt, and welcome back to Waltology, baby! Today, we got a special treat. What I'm going to do is create my family favorite orange and barbecue chicken, or barbecue and orange chicken, whichever way you want to switch it, all right? Now, for this recipe, I like to use wingettes. So if you can't get wingettes, what you want to do is get the whole wing and section it off, discarding the tips. All right. So this is about 5 pounds of wings. McCormick black pepper, Goya Adobe all-purpose seasoning, a perfect pinch of Cajun seasoning, and a good old favorite, some Old Bay seasoning. After we get a good seasoning game going, as you can see, nice and seasoned. You can go ahead and add some more if you like, but to taste, but this is how I do it, because the next step, we're gonna go ahead and season the batter. All right, now we're about to season the batter. Now I know a lot of people have a different way that they like to season it. Some people will just put salt and pepper. I particularly, for this recipe especially, I like to season the batter just as well as I do the chicken. I usually season it with the same seasonings that I've used when I season the chicken. So we're going to use the same ones here: the Cajun seasoning, the black pepper, the Old Bay, and the Goya Adobe. Now, since we used about 5 pounds of chicken wings for this recipe, I would say about 3 cups of flour to get you started. Now, as you go on, if you need to use more, once you start to coat the chicken, then you can always just add some more and add more seasoning, and you should be fine. You can start with 1 tablespoon or as much as you would like to taste. All right, so usually once you start seeing that flour change color, for me, I feel like it's seasoned perfectly. All right, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to start to heat the oil for us to fry the chicken. All right, so we have at the point where we're going to go ahead and start to fry this chicken. Now, if you have a deep fryer, perfect. But for a lot of people, you more likely have a pot and a stove. So I go the old school route with the pot and the stove. I let the stove heat up, and have the pot get nice and hot. I would say about, a good, maybe good 5 minutes. And then once you have it on there for 5 minutes, then I use the Crisco pure vegetable oil. For me, that's the best oil to deep fry the chicken. So I pour in for this. It depends on your pot, for real, but I will use usually at least 16 fluid ounces. So while we're letting this heat up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to coat the chicken with the flour we just seasoned. All right. Meanwhile, while we have the oil on the stove getting hot, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start to coat the chicken with the batter that we just seasoned. All right, I just like to go on in here and drop it on in, as many as I can get in at one time, and then go ahead and just smush it around, you know, make sure it's covered up, and then get a good coat on them, you know. See, nice good coat, nice good coat. Then I just lay them over to the side on my plate, and I just repeat the process until all of the chicken wingettes are covered in the batter. All right, so we have the chicken all battered and ready to go. All right, so now the oil is nice and hot. So what we're going to do, like I said earlier, we're going to take the sides and just kind of drop them in. You know, fill it up, you know, drop them in to the point where you fill up the pot, as far as like, though you don't want to stack the chicken on top of each other, just enough where you give each piece enough space so it can cook. All right, so you know, depending on the size of your pot, that will vary. For this particular pot, I put in about 6 sides, and that should do. So we're gonna let it cook. While we're letting this chicken cook, we're gonna go ahead and start to work on the sauce. Now we came to the point where we're gonna make the most flavorful part of it all, the sauce. All right, now there are, you know, several sauces that I use to make this. I would say for the orange sauce, you want to put in about a, you know, for depending on how many wings you have, but I would say for 5 pounds, I would do about a cup. Well, 2 cups. I say about 2 cups. 2 cups for the orange sauce, and 2 cups as well for the barbecue sauce, the Capital City Mamba sauce. And I usually do about 2 tablespoons of this. I just slide it on in there. About 2 good tablespoons. Then with the sriracha sauce, I usually do 1 teaspoon. I try not to, you know, do too much. About a good tablespoon is good enough. Liquid smoke, about a tablespoon of that too. Well, yeah, I like to do about a tablespoon of liquid smoke. And then the honey, I do a tablespoon of that as well. Now, and just mix it all up. Right, we got the chicken all nice and fried up. So now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and dip the chicken in the sauce. All right, now before we dip the wings into the sauce, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get us a pan, you know what I mean, maybe like a sheet pan. We'll get some Pam spray, and we're going to spray it. Because what we're going to do is, what I like to do is when I dip the chicken into the sauce, I transfer it onto the pan, and I have the oven preheated to 350 degrees because I like to put the wings with the sauce on there in the oven and let it bake for about 30 minutes. All right. So let's go ahead and let's start dipping and then transferring into the oven. And then I'll be back with the final product. Now we have all of the wings coated. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna put them in the oven for about 30 minutes, and then we will see the final product. All right, so we got the chicken out of the oven. You know, everything looking, smelling, tasting good. So, you know, try the recipe below. I will have the description and ingredients of everything in the description box below. So please like, share, and subscribe. If you like the recipe and you want to send a tip, my Cashapp and my Venmo are below. All right. Thank you for all the support, and I'll see you again soon.